You've benchmarked hundreds of marketing teams across B2B. Help us understand where AI adoption really stands and where are most partner marketers and really marketing teams in general today in their AI journey.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Hondo, and everyone at Partner Vista and Ryan. I'll back up a bit, why we started looking at AI adoption as a lens to help people figure out where to go next is that, AI kind of felt like a set of decisions that were too important to leave to just the typical resources for making a decision. And, I'm not going to try and belabor too much about why I look at it, but we all know that it's going to play a role in go-to-market success in your operations and that companies may succeed or fail based on it. And in marketing, it is a bit career existential. I mean, it has elements of like who will survive this development of this. And but the decisions are a bit different. It isn't just like, am I going to buy this app? The amount of personal initiative being applied to AI, the infrastructure behind it, team enablement of AI so that you're lifting all boats. All of those things matter in a different way than typical tech decisions. It isn't just for one thing; it's for many different use cases. But the things that don't change are you've only got a little bit of resource to figure out what you're going to do next. And unfortunately, all of the advice sources, not to catch word, but firms from the vendors themselves, it's pretty self-serving. And so if this is the challenge, we have to look, carefully about what to do next. And adoption, i.e., what are your peer marketers doing, reflects a kind of collective wisdom that people who voted with their feet already. Like I have already committed my time to do something and my treasure and time and treasure. And so that's kind of an impartial and trustworthy thing to follow. I try to gather some data that helps you guide yourself on that. So I'll tell you a little bit about that and we'll get to the data, which is AI Advantage Assessment starts with a marketer AI adoption survey. And as Hondo said, we're, everyone that's here in the webinar has the ability to take the survey and we'll give you a personalized assessment of where you're at. And it's totally free. And there's specialty sections for each marketing disciplines, for demand gen, for content marketing, for, things around partner. And everyone gets a free response there. This is an example of what we do, where we rank you, we tell you we're ahead or behind. So it's really useful. Everyone that gets the assessment has found it to be pretty great. So if we go from there about like, where are we on this front? Well, I think the biggest thing is that probably there are a lot of use cases that are already, let's call them standard practice, right? But the rest of it is all in some varying stage of emerging. So on the right here, what we're saying is like in the AI assessment survey, we asked about literally 110 different use cases. And there were 14 use cases where more than 60% of the respondents said they were using it increasingly or all the time. So in other words, you got 14 uses of AI that well over half of the people are saying it's pretty much in my workflow almost all the time, or it is something I'm really aspiring to use all the time. So that gives you kind of a level set of where the usage is. But then you got 20 more that 40 to 60% of the people are using 40 different use cases are using it increasingly or all the time. Now, there's plenty of stuff out there that is like really out, not being used. And a measure of that is of the 5,000 different or 7,000 different responses we got, 5,000 of them were, I don't even know what this is yet. I'm planning to use it. I haven't. So there's a lot that is sort of, on the bleeding edge, but there's a lot that you have to pay attention to that like pretty much everyone is doing. And so level set about what those types of things are. The stuff that is really in use are typically about individuals getting past the blank page, right? Where I'm like just trying to get going. And so I am trying to take something I've written and improve the writing quality. So these are use cases where 80% of the people in the survey said, I'm using it increasingly or all the time. And so that was improving writing quality, using it for a better version of web research, I'm using to create content or using to create, to generate ideas. So it's very personal, very writing oriented. Now you get out to the bleeding edge where less than 8% of the people, then you get these kind of like more exotic stuff like dynamic pricing for e-commerce or crisis warnings. We're not really going to focus on that, but just, it sort of sets the level of like, you're going to hear a lot about AI, but there's a lot that no one's doing. So you don't need to worry about that in some way.